class hasn't even started. The class hasn't even started. I haven't even read the first question and Anas is saying 565 is the answer. यार इतना नर्ड नहीं होना चाहिए. इतना नर्ड ना क्या ही गए बंदा. थोड़ा लर्न टू एंजॉय लाइफ वाले जिंदगी से लुत्फ उठाने की कोशिश करे. सारा दिन पढ़ाई का वो नहीं होता, वो हमारे टाइम में क्या कहते थे, किताबी कीड़ा. सो नो नीड टू बी अ किताबी कीड़ा प्लीज. आई नो मजाक करूं यार, बहुत अच्छी बात है. पढ़ो पढ़ो. पढ़ोगे लिखोगे बनोगे कबाब. और खेलोगे कूदोगे बनोगे क्या होता है, खेलेंगे कूदेंगे पिएंगे शराबा. तौबा तौबा तौबा. यार किधर से आ जाते हैं ये लोग. मुसलमान हैं हम. अस्तगफिरुल्लाह. अस्तगफिरुल्लाह रब्बी मिन कुल्ली ज़म्बिन. गलत बातें यार, खुदाई कसम. सिर्फ गलत बातें करनी आती हैं आजकल के बच्चों को. हम अच्छे शरीफ लोग थे. बॉब्जी बनोगे. बॉब्जी बनोगे. अच्छा, शैल वी स्टार्ट एवरीबॉडी. कैन वी स्टार्ट. अगर तो मजाक खत्म हो गए तो शुरू कर लें. Can I get a yes in the chat box? Or can I get a Gucci or Prada? Let's have Gucci in the chat box. Can I have a Gucci in the chat box so that I know that you guys are at least listening to what I'm saying? Okay. Gucci Skibidi Toilet. Wow. यार ये क्या है, ये क्या चल रहा है. यार मैं आप लोगों को बता रहा हूँ, थोड़ा सीरियस ले लें जिंदगी को. हर वक्त मजाक नहीं होता. हर वक्त मजाक. Shall we start or no? I've only gotten 2 Gucci's. बाकी सारे गूंगे बहरे हो आप लोग. Gucci bolo na. Write Gucci in the chat box, please. Can everybody write Gucci in the chat box so we can start? Can everybody write Gucci in the chat box, please? Please just write Gucci in the chat box, please. जो बच्चा Gucci नहीं लिखेगा अल्लाह ताला उसका पेपर फेल. बोलूं फिर. सर स्पेलिंग नहीं आती. सर स्पेलिंग तो फिर भी आती है लेकिन औकात गुच्ची वाली नहीं है. क्या चल रहा है यार. Okay, let's start. Okay, let's start. So today we're going to look into atomic structure, and obviously this is my topical booklet. It's available for free. You guys can check it out, and you, if you want to purchase the marking scheme, you can absolutely do that by just going over the LMS or just by contacting Miss Noor, and she will provide you with the details. LMS पे इसकी marking scheme provided है, ठीक है. और those who can't afford the marking scheme, I'm also making the video solution for it time and time again. तो वो भी है, and you guys can search the variant number and whatnot, so you guys can get an access to it, ठीक है. अच्छा, question number 1 says boron and aluminum are group 3 elements. Boron has only 2 naturally occurring isotopes. What are isotopes, everybody? They are different atoms of the same element having the same number of protons but different number of neutrons, right? So protons are same but neutrons are different, or you could say having the same atomic number but different mass number, or you could say same number of protons but different nucleon number, right? Done. Complete table 2.1 to show the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons in an atom of B11, right? So you're given 2 isotopes, right? One is B10 and one is B11. And why is it denoted like this? Because you already know that the proton number is going to be the same, right? Proton number is actually the identity card of an element. It's the Shanakhti card, the CNIC of an element, right? So that does not change, right? There's no gain or loss of protons. The proton number will always be the same, but the mass number differs. And if the mass number is different, that means the neutrons are different, and that means they are isotopes. Done? So if I want to check out how many protons there are in boron, I haven't been given the protons in this particular question, right? They've just given me the mass number here and the mass number there. Where can I get the protons for boron? Obviously by looking at the periodic table, right? And if you go and check out your periodic table, boron will have 5 beautiful protons. So can I say it's going to have 5 protons? Now, because boron 11 isotope does not have any charge. And why am I calling it an isotope? Remember, what if this had a charge? What if this had a charge? For example, I said it had a charge of 1 minus. So let's just assume. I know there's no charge of 1 minus on boron 11, but let's assume there's a charge of 1 minus. Can I call it an isotope? No, because isotopes are different atoms. They're not ions, right? If there's a charge, then it'll be a charged species. It's going to be called an ion, right? तो याद रखिएगा, isotopes की definition में fall करने के लिए they must be in their atomic state, not in their ionic state, which means not they won't be having any charge, right? And if there's no charge, that means the number of protons are equal to the number of electrons, right? So for an atom, the number of protons and electrons will always be equal. So if you have 5 protons right here, how many electrons should you have? 5, sir. And what are the number of neutrons? Now, if I'm talking about boron 11 right here, he's talked about boron 11. So how do you calculate the number of neutrons? Sir, बड़े को छोटे को बड़े से minus करे. 11 minus 5, that's 6. That's the rote learning that teachers have taught you, right? But the concept behind it is that 11 is the mass number. And what's the definition of mass number? Mass number is the total number of protons plus neutrons in the nucleus of an atom, right? So if you have 11 protons and neutrons in the nucleus of an atom, you can calculate the neutrons because you already know that there are 5 protons, right? तो 5 protons है, neutrons नहीं पता, लेकिन protons plus neutrons दोनों मिलके 11 होते हैं. So neutrons equal 11 minus 5, right? 5 इधर ऐड हो रहा है, उधर जाके माइनस हो जाएगा, और subtract 5 on both sides. So what do you get? N equals 6. The concept is this, but the shortcut is छोटे को बड़े से minus कर. But you should know why छोटे को बड़े से minus कर, because mass number, aka the nucleon number, is the total number of protons and neutrons. So 11 is the total number of protons and neutrons, and you already know the protons right here. It's given in the periodic table. So you know the P, you know the total, you don't know N. You can calculate N. Done, sir. Now it says the relative atomic mass of boron to one decimal place is 10.8. Done. Done. Easy. Determine the relative abundance of boron 10 present in boron. Give your answer as a percentage. How do you calculate the relative abundance? Well, first of all, tell me, how do you calculate the atomic mass? It's basically the average, right? So you take the mass number and you times it by the abundance, right? And then you divide it by the total abundance, and this actually gives you the atomic mass. And in this case, he's given you the atomic mass, but he hasn't given you the abundance, right? Now, there are two ways to go about this. Number one, I'll teach you the calculation method, and then I'll teach you the shortcut, and then I'll tell you what to do in this case, right? So here is saying determine, but I want to first focus on calculation. Sir, how do you calculate the AR? It's the average of the isotopes, right? It's the average mass of the isotopes. Now, where are the isotopes? The isotopes are given here, boron 10 or boron 11. Sir, boron 10 और boron, दो isotopes है, boron 10 और बोरॉन 11. अगर मैं कहूं कि बोरॉन 10 की अबंडेंस मुझे नहीं पता, आई डोंट नो द अबंडेंस ऑफ बोरॉन 10. बोरॉन 11 की अबंडेंस कितनी होगी? Boron 10 abundance, I don't know, that's X. Total abundance is always 100%. So if boron 10 has an abundance of X, boron 11 कितना होगा? 100 minus X. मिसाल के तौर पे, for example, I say that you have boron 10 की abundance, let's suppose I tell you that it's 20%. तो बोरॉन 11 की अबंडेंस कितनी होगी? जाहिर सी बात है, टोटल परसेंटेज 100 होता है ना, बोरॉन 11 की कितनी होगी? 80%. हाउ डिड यू कैलकुलेट 80%? हाउ डिड यू कैलकुलेट 80%? सर आपने क्या कहा? 100 minus 20. तो अगर मैं 20 की जगह x कह दूं तो फिर इधर क्या आएगा? 100 minus x. डन. तो बोरॉन 10 की अबंडेंस इज x, आई डोंट नो, बट बोरॉन 11 शुड देन बी 100 minus x. डन सर, दिस मेक सेंस? अच्छा, अब इन दोनों की एवरेज अगर हम लेंगे, मैस नंबर टाइम्स द अबंडेंस, दिस शुड बी इक्वल टू 10.8. तो मैं कह सकता हूं, एवरेज निकालें सर, मैस नंबर टाइम्स द अबंडेंस प्लस मैस नंबर टाइम्स द अबंडेंस डिवाइडेड बाय total abundance, which is always 100, right? This will be equal to 10.8. Calculate करके बताएं क्या आ रहा है? 10x plus 1100 minus 11x is equal to 100. इधर divide हो रहा है, उधर multiply हो जाएगा, right? So 10080. Done? Done. Minus x is equal to minus 1100 plus 1080. Minus x equals minus 20. Minus करें, x क्या आ गया? 20. और x आपने क्या कहा था? x किसकी परसेंटेज थी? x किसकी अबंडेंस थी? बोरॉन 10 की. और यही तो मांगा हुआ था, बोरॉन 10 की अबंडेंस. तो बोरॉन 10 की अबंडेंस कितनी है? 20%. 20%. नाउ दिस इज द कैलकुलेशन वे, राइट? तो लेकिन ये 1 मार्क का सवाल है. अब 1 मार्क के लिए मैं इतनी कैलकुलेशन तो नहीं कर सकता. दिस विल हेल्प यू इवन इन योर ए लेवल्स, एंड आई हैव टॉट दिस इन माय क्लासेस, राइट? क्लासेस में हमने ये बहुत डिटेल में डिस्कस किया. एक अबंडेंस अननोन है, आइसोटोप्स आपको पता है, तो एक की अबंडेंस x होगी, दूसरी की 100 minus x होगी. डन? अच्छा, नाउ हाउ डू यू डू दिस विद योर ब्रेन्स? हाउ डू यू डू दिस विद योर ब्रेन? 1 मार्क का सवाल इसके लिए, और वो भी इसीलिए द एग्जामिनर इज सेइंग डिटरमिन, ही इज नॉट सेइंग कैलकुलेट, ही इज सेइंग डिटरमिन. ठीक है? तो डिटरमिन हम कैसे करेंगे? देखिए, बोरॉन 10 एक आइसोटोप है और बोरॉन 11 आइसोटोप, और वो कह रहे हैं कि AR इसका है 10.8. अब जरा गौर से देखिए, हम इसको डायरेक्ट कैसे कर सकते हैं. मुझे एक बात बताइएगा, अगर बोरॉन 10 और 11 की अबंडेंस, अगर इसका एवरेज 10.5 होता, अगर मैं कहता कि AR 10.5 है, तो बोरॉन 10 और 11 की अबंडेंस इक्वल होती. बीच में आ रहा है ना. बोरॉन 10 की अबंडेंस कितनी होती? 50%, 50% होती. और बोरॉन 11 की कितनी होती? 50%। डन सर। ये दोनों 50-50% होते। अब बता क्या रहे, 10.8 है, 10.5 नहीं है, 10.8 है। 10.8 का मतलब क्या है कि इफ दिस इज नॉट 10.5, ये लेट्स सपोज 10.6 होता, तो आपको पता है 11 के करीब है, 11 के करीब है, इसका मतलब है इसकी परसेंटेज 60 होती और इसकी 40 हो जाती। अगर 10.7 AR होता तो मैं कहता इसकी 70% है, इसकी 30% है। लेकिन एग्जामिनर कह रहे हैं 10.8 है, इसका मतलब है दिस इज 80%, इट्स मोर इंक्लाइन टुवर्ड्स 11, तो this is 80% and that's 20%. So this is how you could have done it directly, and this is the calculation way. So I'm not just preparing you for your O levels, I'm also preparing you for your A levels if you were to ever take chemistry in your A levels, right? Calculation is this, और logical reasoning ये है ना कि अगर बीच में होता है इसका मतलब दोनों 50-50 है। जितना 11 की तरफ मूव करते जाओगे उतना 11 की परसेंटेज बढ़ती जाएगी और इसकी कम होती जाएगी। तो 10.5 में 50-50 है, 10.6 में ये 60-40, 7 में 70-30, 8 में 80-20। अब मजे की बात है, यस द आंसर विल बी 20, राइट, क्योंकि बोरॉन 10 की अबंडेंस मांगी है, 11 की नहीं मांगी। मजे की बात है, मैं यूट्यूब पे एक वीडियो देख रहा था, तबाह किया हुआ है, तबाह लिटरली, पता नहीं बच्चों को क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं, मुझे तो समझ नहीं है, मेरी तो समझ से बाहर है कि आप लोगों को क्या रट्टे लगवा रहे हैं, ठीक है। सो दिस इज हाउ यू नीड टू गो अबाउट दिस क्वेश्चन, लेट्स मूव ऑन। कोबाल्ट एंड कॉपर आर ट्रांजिशन एलिमेंट्स, और जिस बच्चे ने मेरे से नहीं पढ़ा तो शायद उसको ये चीज मुश्किल लग रही हो। स्किबिडी टॉयलेट इज सेइंग व्हाई इज B1100-X। बेटा मेरी वीडियोस देख लें, लेक्चर में मैंने ये बहुत डिटेल में सारा एक्सप्लेन किया, ये तो प्रैक्टिस सेशन है। अच्छा, कोबाल्ट एंड कॉपर आर ट्रांजिशन एलिमेंट्स। कॉपर हैज टू नेचुरली अकरिंग आइसोटोप्स। आइसोटोप्स क्या होते हैं? डिफरेंट एटम्स ऑफ द सेम एलिमेंट हैविंग द सेम नंबर ऑफ प्रोटॉन्स बट डिफरेंट नंबर ऑफ न्यूट्रॉन्स। अच्छा, कॉपर 63 एक आइसोटोप है और कॉपर 65 एक आइसोटोप है। Cobalt has only one naturally occurring isotope, cobalt 59. Complete the table 2.1 to show the number of protons, neutrons and electrons in cobalt 59 and copper 2 plus ion. अच्छा, क्या इसको मैं आइसोटोप कह सकता हूँ? कॉपर 2 प्लस को आइसोटोप कह सकता हूँ कि नहीं? कैन आई कॉल दिस कॉपर 2 प्लस एज एन आइसोटोप? अच्छा, मेरा सवाल पहले जवाब देना, ये तो बच्चा भी कर सकता है, इसको मैं आइसोटोप कह सकता हूँ कि नहीं? उसने ऊपर कहा तो है कि दे आर टू नेचुरली अकरिंग आइसोटोप्स। अलीन, 50 रुपए इनाम हो गया, लेकिन आपने मेरे से पढ़ा हुआ है ना, इसलिए आपको पता है। सलाउद्दीन ने भी मेरे से पढ़ा। जिन बच्चों ने मेरे से नहीं पढ़ा उनसे पूछ रहा हूँ, इनाम इनाम कैंसिल हो गया। कोई कोई बच्चा ऐसे है जिन्होंने मेरे से नहीं पढ़ा? इट्स, हाँ, नूर ने मेरे से नहीं पढ़ा, नूर हमाद साहब ने। तो नो नूर हमाद साहब, इट्स नॉट एन आइसोटोप। नूर, क्या आपने मुझे मेरे से पढ़ा हुआ है? नूर, हैव यू स्टडीड फ्रॉम मी और नो? बस सिर्फ ये सेशंस कंडक्ट करने का यही मकसद होता है। हैं, बोले नहीं पढ़ा? नहीं पढ़ा? अच्छा, तो यही मकसद होता है बेटा। आई कैंट अंडरस्टैंड यू, ओके दैट्स फाइन। यू, क्या ही कहूँ। कॉपर 2 प्लस आयन है, आयन, आयन और आइसोटोप में फर्क है। आइसोटोप क्या होता है? डिफरेंट एटम्स ऑफ द सेम एलिमेंट, डिफरेंट एटम्स होते हैं ऑफ द सेम एलिमेंट हैविंग द सेम नंबर ऑफ प्रोटॉन्स बट डिफरेंट नंबर ऑफ न्यूट्रॉन्स, ठीक है जी। तो एटम्स होते हैं, ये एक आयन है, आयन आइसोटोप नहीं होता, आयन एक चार्ट स्पीसीज होती है, ठीक है। सर आप, I I mean I can't understand the language, but your explanation seems really good. What do you mean? I'm talking in English, am I not? ये क्या है यार? Will you not be giving your paper in English? कि नहीं, आप अरबी में पेपर दे रहे होंगे कि उर्दू में? Should I start explaining in Urdu? Or should I start explaining in English? I don't get it, man. Okay, let's start. So, how many protons are there? Where do you go to seek the protons? Where do you go to find the protons? Do you look at the question? Acha, I'm explaining. Oh, you don't understand Urdu. Okay, so you should have told me that you don't understand Urdu. I'll only speak in English. You are literally explaining in Urdu. Okay, I'll start speaking in English, right? So I was saying that this is not an isotope because isotopes are different atoms, right? They're different atoms of the. Bataya kare na, you should tell me that there's somebody in the class who does not understand Urdu so that I don't speak in Urdu at all. Okay, so it says it is a copper 2 plus ions. Ions are not isotopes. Ions are charged species. That's what I was saying. Okay, Noor Ahmad? Sorry. Sorry for not speaking entirely in English. Okay. So how many protons are there in cobalt and in copper 2 plus? Well, we know that for protons, we have to look at the periodic table. We don't have to look at whatever is given here because you need to understand that proton number is the identity card number. Skibbity toilet is saying, I don't understand English. Skibbity toilet, what you should do is you should stand on a cliff and No comments. Acha. So, how many protons are there in cobalt? Can somebody look at the periodic table and tell me? 27. Thank you very much. And in copper 2 plus, 29. My question, copper 2 plus, it's copper 2 plus. So shouldn't this be like 31? Shouldn't this be like 31? Because 2 plus would mean there will be more protons. No, you dumbos. No, no, no. You can't gain or lose protons. The charges are due to the gain or losses of electrons. 2 plus means that it has lost 2 electrons. Yeah? Yes. How many neutrons are there? 59 minus 27. What do you get? 32. And 65 minus 29. Come on, man. 36. Beautiful. Electrons. Well, this is an atom. And in an atom, the number of protons and electrons are always equal, right? There's no charge on it. So that's 27. And electrons in copper 2 plus. Well, it had 29 protons and 29 electrons if it was just copper. It would have had if it would have had 29 protons and 29 electrons if it was just copper. But now it's 2 plus. That means that there are no longer 29 electrons. 2 electrons have been lost. So there are 27 electrons. And how do you know this? How do you know that 2 electrons have been lost? It's pretty simple. You can also calculate it, right? So if it was just copper, copper is 29, right? So 29 would mean that you had, and it's 2 plus, right? So if you were to calculate it mathematically, you could absolutely do that. You could say, hey, you have 29 protons, due to which you have a 29 positive charge in the nucleus. You don't know the number of electrons. You don't know the number of electrons, sir. You don't know the number of electrons, but you know that the overall charge is plus 2, right? So you could even mathematically solve this. Shift 29 there. What do you get? Minus 29 plus 2 minus E equals minus 27. Minus minus cancels out. Electrons are 27. So you could also solve this mathematically. Or you could use logic and just say, hey, you would have 29 protons and 29 electrons for an atom, but now it's an ion. It's a charged species. And 2 plus means 2 electrons have been lost. So 29 minus 2, you got 27. Done? Okay. Shows the relative atomic mass, calculate the AR to 1 decimal place. How do you calculate the relative atomic mass? It's the mass number times the abundance, mass number times the abundance divided by the total abundance. Why do we do this? It's pretty simple. It's mathematics. It's average. We're basically calculating the average. That's what the definition of AR says. What's the definition of atomic mass? What's the definition of atomic mass? What's the definition of atomic mass? Relative atomic mass, yeah. It's an average. It's the average mass of the isotopes of an element relative to 1/12 of a carbon atom. Yeah, where carbon is exactly 12 units. I'm not writing the entire definition, but I said it, right? So it's the average. What are you doing? You're literally calculating the weighted average, right? You're doing it, what you're doing is you're taking this mass and you're saying, hey, this mass exists 70% of the times, this mass exists 30% of the time. So you're just taking the average between the two. This mass exists 70% of the times, this mass exists 30% of the time, divided by the total frequency, which is 100, right? It's basically mathematics. It's summation fx divided by summation f. ये जो maths में, this is what you study in your mathematics, right? The frequency times the mass divided by the total frequency. Frequency is 70, times it by mass. Frequency is 30, times it by mass, divided by the total frequency. This is simple mathematics. Sir, you speak too fast, not for slow learner. Beta, our professor used to say that there's no slow learner or fast learner. There's only one type of students, one who wants to learn the concepts and the other who wants to do shortcuts. If you want to do the shortcuts, you could just say whatever is written here multiplied by the percentage. Whatever is written here, it's very easy for me to explain it like that. But since I focus more on the concepts and the application of concepts so that you guys don't cry in your A levels and even in your future, I want you guys to be more holistic. So it's either you're a hardworking student who focuses on the concepts or you're just focusing on rote learning. If you're focusing on rote learning, I will also release a course for that. So by the end of near your exams, what I'll do is I'll also release short lectures, which will only be available to registered students, but I will also release short lectures only for the students who don't want to do hard work and just want to pass O levels and get their A star on an A. But I would not recommend watching those short lectures. But those short lectures would also get you your A star. It's not confirmed, but I'll try to do it. Done, sir. What do you get? Can somebody calculate this, please? So you get 6360 divided by 100. So what do you get? 63.60. Do I get 2 marks? It's a 2-mark question. Do I get 2 marks or do I get 1 marks? Do I get 2 marks or 1 mark? 2 marks or 1 mark? The whole purpose of this past paper session is to make you understand that there's a difference between just learning the concepts and then actually applying the concepts. So, Noor, you're wrong. I'm not going to get 2 marks. I'll only get 1 mark because I am dumb enough to not read the question. The question says correct to one decimal place. This is uno dos. Noor, this is two decimal places, right? So you remove the zero, only one decimal place. Done? So I'll get 2 marks if I write 0 0.6. I'll get 1 mark if I write 0.60, right? Yes, the answer contains 1 mark. Salahuddin is saying, sir, give me my award for stating the right answer. No, Salahuddin, because you studied from me. Okay, moving on. This is a very beautiful question. It's very important to understand this question. Now it says table 2.1 gives information about particles A, B, C, D, E, F. I have a question. What do we mean when we say particles? Sir, why did the biologist break up with the physicist because they had no chemistry? Uh, my God. What do particles mean? I'm not saying atoms. No. Particles is just a broad term for stating atoms, ions, molecules, whatever, right? So you need to understand that particles is just a broader term. It's like an umbrella under which different names come down, right? So atoms are also particles, ions are also particles, molecules are also particles. Particles mean particles. No. Okay, great. And the reason why you need to know this is because you'll see he's given you particles and the protons and electrons are different. So if the protons and electrons, oh, here they're same. If the protons and electrons are different, what does this mean? Is it an atom or is it an ion? I want you guys to develop that thought process, right? Develop the thought process, the concept application, and you'll be good to go. Okay, let's look at all these particles first before looking at the question. If I'm talking about A has 5 electrons and 5 protons. Can I say it's an atom? Absolutely. A is an atom. Can I say B is an atom? The electrons and protons are equal. That's an atom. Can I say C is an atom? No, sirree. I can't say C is an atom because C has different protons and different electrons. So it's an ion. Done? Can I say D is an atom? No, that's also an ion. Can I say E is? No, E is also an ion because protons and electrons aren't equal, right? And this is an atom. Done, sir. This is an atom. Now, why did I want you guys to do this? You'll understand this when you do more extensive practice why I did this. Now, if I want to find which element we're talking about, can I do this by just looking at this table? Can I find which element we're talking about by just looking at the table? Aline, you're absolutely right. But you studied from me, so no. Yes, yes, yes. Can we? Yes, because I've said that, remember, the protons are neither lost nor gained. And I've given you guys reasoning for it, which is not in your course. But you need to understand that the proton number is the identity card. It's the identity card of an element, right? So that does not change. So if you go to the periodic table and check out the proton numbers, which is the smaller number between the two, you'll realize that this is the element under consideration. So which element has 5 protons? Go to the periodic table and you'll also figure out which element we're talking about. So which one has 5 protons? I think it's boron, if I'm not wrong. It's boron, right? Which one has 10 protons? Right here. This has 5 protons. Neon is 10. So neon is a noble gas. And let me write it here to make it easy. Sir, which one has 13 protons? That's aluminum. Which one has 16 protons? That's right here, sulfur, right? 16 protons is sulfur. Which one has 17 protons and 15 protons? So 15 protons is phosphorus and 17 is chlorine. So 15 is phosphorus and 17 is chlorine. Now, which of these are ions? Which of these are ions? Look at this. This was an atom, this was an atom, this is an ion, which means if it has 13 protons and 10 electrons, what does this mean? That it has 3 more protons than electrons, right? So it has lost 3 electrons. And losing 3 electrons means what charge should this aluminum atom have? It's not going to be an atom. What charge should this aluminum ion have? A positive charge, but what positive? It has lost 3 electrons, should have a 3 plus charge. Done? Let's talk about sulfur. In sulfur, there are 2 more electrons than protons. So what charge should it have? It has 2 more electrons than protons. So it should have a 2 minus charge. Phosphorus has 1 more electron than proton. Chlorine has 1 more electron than proton. So it has a 1 minus charge. It is gain an electron. And phosphorus is an atom, right? So these are my charged species, and these are my beautiful atoms. Do you need to do this in the paper? No. My job as a teacher is to explain each and everything what's going on, right? It's my job to explain the scenario to you. It's your job to do it quickly in your brain or not. That's up to you. Okay, now it says give the letters of all the particles which are atoms. That's why we did all of this. So what are the letters for all the particles which are atoms? A, B, and F. When I say A, B, and F, A, comma, B. We've already done the working. An ion with a charge of 2 minus, that's D. D is an ion with a charge of 2 minus. Cations. Cations are positively charged ions. They're positive ions. Happy ions. Cats are happy. Yeah? Positive ions. So positive ion. What one is the positive ion? That's C. Not E is skibidi toilet, C. E is chloride ion. So that's okay. See? Done, sir. State the atomic number of A. What do we mean by atomic number? The number of protons in the nucleus of an atom. Number of protons in the nucleus of an atom. Actually, these definitions can come in your paper, right? I need to know this. That's it. What's the atomic number? What's the atomic number of A? It's given right here. The number of protons in the nucleus of an atom. That's 5. Done? Determine the number of nucleons. Nucleons is what? The total number of protons plus neutrons in the nucleus of an atom, right? And you can also, if I did not use the word nucleons, which other word could I have used? Which other word could I have used instead of nucleons? Yes, I could have also used determine the mass number. Done? They're both the same thing. So D, look at D. What's the nucleon number? It's the total number of neutrons plus protons, right? So 17 plus 16, what do you get? 33. State the electronic configuration of D. What do we mean by electronic configuration? It refers to the distribution of electrons in shells. Shells में electrons कैसे distributed है? So what's the electronic configuration of D? Look at D. Look at their electrons. D has 18 electrons. So how are they distributed? The first shell can hold up to a maximum of 2 electrons. You have to move to the second shell where it can hold up to a maximum of 8. And then the third shell where it can hold up to a maximum of 8, right? And 18 are accommodated. Done? State the group number of F. How do you determine the group number? Now, there are two ways to go about this. If you look at F, F is an atom, right? So you could write the electronic configuration of F as in, because it's an atom. If it weren't an atom, then you couldn't have done it. So 2, 8, 5. It's in group 5. One sec, guys. Hello, assalamu alaikum. مړه یار خوښه دې ده یار ما تا پسې کالونه کول زه د فهم نه فارغ شوم راووتم ما چې ګپ شپ ولګوم ته خان پک زه ګورو چې سبا څه جوړیږي که نه چې که سبا وخت مې لاو شي انشاءالله یار زه خو شپږ بجې د فهم نه فارغېږم یار شپږ بجې یا د هغې نه هم لیټ شي کله کله 6 PM or later بریک یوه بجې نه 2 بجې پورې نو که راځې بریک ټایم کې نو سبا زه بس بریک ټایم کې او سبا به ګپ شپ ولګو ټیک ده او زما شپږ بجې وي نارملي خو کله کله د شپې یوه بجې پورې هم په فارم کې ناست یو که نه نو لیټ سی او که نه یار ورکهالیک دا ډن سبا ملاویږو اوکې باس مین السلام علیکم Okay, so what are we talking about now? Because it's an atom, this is the reason why I want you guys to know whether it's an atom or an ion, because this is very important. Write it on your heart. Because it's an atom, that is the only reason I am able to determine the group number by writing the electronic configuration. But if it were an ion, then I couldn't have talked about its group number by looking at the electronic configuration, because the electronic configuration changes for ions. Done? Now for an atom you could say it's 5. So फिर क्या करते? If this was an ion, then if I had looked at the number of electrons, my answer would have been wrong. What is better is that look at the proton number and go search this proton number in the periodic table. So look at the proton number and go to the periodic table and check out which group the element where the proton number of 15 is in. Which group? Group 5. It'll be group 5. Done? So it's going to be group 5. Say the group 5. But how do you know how many electrons are being gained or lost? So we can, yeah, you could do that. Then you could do reverse working. So you're right. You could convert it into, so if this is 16 protons and 18 electrons, you could convert this ion back into its atomic state, then write the electronic configuration and then determine, but then that's going to be long, right? Yeah, that's going to take longer. State the period number of B. B has 10 protons. Go to the periodic table, check out the period number of B. This is period are the horizontal rows in the periodic table. Period 1, period 2. It's in period 2. Answer. State the name given to the atoms of the same element with different nucleon numbers. Simple. Malay. Isotopes. Absolutely. Guys, are you enjoying this session or are you guys bored? Are you guys bored? Going over the top of your head? Oh no, easy. I hope you guys are getting the explanations because the enjoying skibidi toilet is saying enjoy. Because see, the whole purpose of doing past papers is not to show you my talent. I can solve every question, right? I've done it, I've been doing it for the past 6-7 years now, right? So I can solve every question, but the whole Alicia is saying I'm dying. Alicia, do you take my classes? I'm just here advertising myself. So the whole purpose of doing past paper questions is just to make you revise the entire chapter. It's not to show you that I can do the questions. Obviously I can, but it's to tell you that is to make you realize how much you know for a particular chapter from the exam perspective. Sir, when are you going in Shark Tank? Yeah, I wanted to start Shark Tank in Pakistan, but then it already commenced. So now I'm planning on becoming a shark one day. So you guys might see me 10 years from now on Shark Tank. 10 years from now. I think uski jo uh, I think you must have like 1,000 crore rupees or maybe 500 crore or 2,000 crore, something like this. 200 Arab, 200 billion rupees शायद आपके पास हो तो आप शार्क बन सकते हैं. I don't know, something like this. पता चले हम आपके पास आपकी अपनी पिच लेके आ रहे हो, मैंने पहले से रिजेक्ट किया होगा. आप लोगों की शक्ल देखी, मैंने रिजेक्ट किया होगा. मजाक करूं. You guys will be successful entrepreneurs, inshallah, in the future. I'm rooting for each and every one of you. I foresee great human beings who are going to create a positive impact in the society and not just do janu manu shona tona and waste their time. Yeah. So I hope you guys don't disappoint me. Okay, complete the table 2.1 to show the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons in an atom and in an ion of lithium. What do you mean by anion? What do you mean by anion? Anion is a charged species. Done. ठीक है. अच्छा, how many protons are there? What do you need to refer to check out the protons? For an ion, for an atom, for a whatever. What do you need to refer to? The periodic table. Thank you. So in the periodic table, the number of protons are 3. Done? Sir, ये top paper क्या लिखा है? What is this? This is the mass number or the nucleon number, which is the total number of protons plus neutrons. Yeah? Make sense? Okay, what are the neutrons? 6 minus 3, you get 3. 7 minus 3, you get 4. Electrons, this is an atom. For an atom, the number of protons and electrons are equal. And for an ion, you had 3 protons and 3 electrons for an atom, right? But now you have a 1 plus charge, which means you've lost an electron. How many electrons should you have? 3, and lost an electron. So 2 electrons remain. Where does it say it's an isotope? It doesn't say it's an isotope. It doesn't say, this says it's an isotope because they're both in their atomic form, right? They're both atoms. But he can't say that these two are isotopes. These two aren't isotopes. See, that's why he stated in the atom and in the ion of lithium. These two aren't isotopes. Acha, tell me something. Are these two isotopes? I've explained this in my paper. I've explained this in the live classes as well. Are these two? This is the most loved question from exam perspective in the MCQs. Are these two isotopes? No, they aren't. Why? Because see, the definition of isotopes is they're different atoms. How in the world is this an atom? They're different atoms of the same element having the same number of protons but different number of neutrons. बच्चों ने क्या रटा होता है? Same number of protons, different number of neutrons. बस वो पिछली definition. And if you pick up your syllabus for once in your life, if you pick up your syllabus and in your syllabus if you have a Mac, you can press command, or if you have a Windows laptop, you could press Control F. In Control F, you're going to get a search bar, and you write in that search bar define. So once you write define in your search bar, what you'll realize is the syllabus is going to show you each and every definition that you have to replicate the same way in the exam. And one of those definition is the definition of isotopes. This is why some students end up with distinctions and some students just end up with an A star. So they're different atoms, right? This is an ion. Lectures le le mere. Table 2.2 shows the relative abundance of two naturally occurring atoms of lithium. Give the relative atomic mass. How do you calculate the relative atomic mass? Mass number 6 times the abundance plus mass number times the abundance divided by the total abundance, which is 100, right? Total abundance हमेशा 100 होगी आपके लेवल तक. रेशियो में लिख सकते हैं लेकिन अच्छा, what do you write? 6.90? Should I get 2 marks or should I get 1 mark? 6.9 or 6.90? अच्छा यार, एक बच्चे ने, yeah, I'll get 1 mark because it says write to 1 decimal place. This is 2, so I have to write 6.9 तक. ठीक है. अच्छा, एक बच्चे ने बहुत मजे की बात की है, बहुत मजे की बात की. Don't just write 6.9. If you want to aim for the distinction, also write AMU. AMU means atomic mass unit. That's the unit of ARs. इधर भी लिख लेते हैं यार. इधर भी था यार एक जगह पे. किधर है यार? ये AMU. AMU क्या होता है? It's the unit. Just like grams is a unit, AMU is a unit, right? Because atoms are very, very small. So if you can't write it in grams, if you write it in grams, it's going to be 0.0000 something. So they compared everything to 1/12, to the mass of 1/12 of a carbon atom. This AMU is actually the mass of 1/12 of carbon atom, where carbon is exactly 12 units, right? Carbon 12. तो AMU क्या है? 1/12वें हिस्से कार्बन का मास. तो ये तो हमें पता ही नहीं था. Whether you are sleeping under a rock, that's why. Yes, should I continue? मजा आ रहा है सर, enjoying. आप कुछ बताने वाले थे about something. A kid just said, yeah, the kid said AMU ना, इसलिए मैंने AMU लिखा साहब. Are you guys enjoying or no? Are you just studying for the sake of studying? You just wanna persevere through this because you think I am some guru and I'll impart all the knowledge that I have within this one class. Boom. अच्छा, सारे अपने जहन पे हाथ रखें. Everybody, please, can you like do this for once? Like do this, please. And then go like, and then just close your eyes and put both your fingers on your forehead and just go like, हम पागल नहीं है भैया, हमारा दिमाग खराब है, हम पागल नहीं है भैया. And you could even do that while shouting. So if you shout and do that, your parents might think that you are actually crazy. Yeah. Sir, what has happened to you? You've gone crazy. I don't even know what has happened to me. Sir, are you okay? Sir, if you shout and do it, then we'll do it. I live alone. I can shout as much as I want. I can shout. I can become Tarzan. Nobody cares. How many protons are there? Proton is this one. Acha, my question. Will the mass number, sir, if I shout, my father will bring chapli kebab? He'll hit you with a chapli kebab. My question, everybody. Is there a possibility that the proton number is greater than the mass number? Is there a possibility that the proton number is greater than the mass number? Is it possible? Yes, Alicia. Let's ask Alicia. And let's ask Khushi. कभी खुशी कभी गम यार पागलों, आप लोगों को तो मैंने उस दिन बताया है ना. आप लोग तो मेरे से पढ़ते हो, आप लोगों को तो मैंने समझाई हुई चीज. अब आप लोग आंसर देके अच्छे तो नहीं लगते. हाँ, डीएम में किया करें, डायरेक्ट मैसेज में. नो नो नो. अलीशा सिंह, यस. खुशी, व्हाट डू यू थिंक? Kabhi khushi, kabhi gham. Have you guys watched this movie? It's a classic, yaar. And even Mariam, I'm gonna kill you. You take my classes and yet you're saying yes. I will kill you. मजाक कर रहा हूँ. I am confused. Okay, don't be confused. JK, sir, JK. See, the proton number can never be greater than the mass number. In the case of hydrogen, it can be equal, but it can never be greater because, see, define mass number. Mass number is the total number of protons plus neutrons in the nucleus of an atom. And proton number just talks about the protons in the nucleus of an atom. So mass number is greater. Proton number can never be greater than the mass number. It might be equal in case of hydrogen, but it can never be greater because the mass number also takes into account the number of neutrons. This question has never been tested, and they can test it. It's a logical question. Can proton number be greater than the mass number? No. Why? Because the mass number also takes into account the number of neutrons. So how many protons are there? 29. Neutrons, 65 minus 29, 36. Yeah, 65 minus 29. I'm not studying for my own exams and I'm teaching you guys. Deduce the number. Deduce the number. Again, 24 are the protons. And that's why you'll realize that the bigger number is always going to be the mass number. So 24 are the protons and the neutrons are, because it also takes into account the number of neutrons, right? 53 minus 24, what do you get? अच्छा आपने पेपर में ये नहीं करना. You guys will not be writing 53 minus 20 because I'm making a marking scheme. I'm writing this here so that students know what I'm talking about. But you guys just have to write the answer here. If you want to do calculations, do it somewhere here. Don't write calculations because it's just asking you the number of protons. Done? Neutrons, which is 36. 53 minus 24. What do you get? 29. 29. Sorry. Sorry. Bakhsh to. Bakhsh to. सर पेपर में वो रफ वर्किंग कहाँ करें कज दे से पेपर पर कुछ और नहीं लिखना हु सेज इट इसमें रफ वर्किंग क्या थी ये तो आप कैलकुलेटर पे भी कर सकते हैं इसमें रफ वर्किंग किस यू हैव टू शो द वर्किंग्स नो हु इज सेइंग दिस in moles and stoichiometry you have to show them all the working in other questions there is no rough working there are marks for every single step that you do there's no such thing as rough working what do you mean rough working there's no such thing as rough working I state the meaning of the term isotopes. अब जो बच्चा लिखेगा same number of protons and different number of neutrons, you'll skip on your distinction chances. Write the definition which the syllabus has written. Go to your syllabus and search the word define, and you have to replicate those definitions. So what's the definition? And see, that's how I ended up with an A star in my A-level physics. I hate physics, right? But there are 12 questions that they test in A-level physics, right? जब मैंने अपना A-levels किया था आज से बहुत साल पहले, तो I literally studied for A-level physics in 7 days. I was suspended from my college, so I studied for 7 days only, and I ended up with an A star. How did I do that? Because I played it smart. I knew that the syllabus has something called define. It also has something called describe. It also has something called explain. And I knew the meanings of these things. So define would mean whatever we've written in the syllabus, write it exactly the same way. Why did you get suspended? Well, a long story, Alishba. Alicia, it's a long story. It's a long ass story. I was always a rebel. That's why, I was always one of the naughty kids. Back when I was in grade 4, I actually slapped a teacher once. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I didn't know. And it's a very fun story how it was all a misunderstanding. I thought it was a student, but then I smacked the teacher and then I realized it was a teacher. I was very naughty. But why did I get suspended in my A-levels? That's a good question. So the people saying that you can't score well in A levels in the last few days are just lazy? No. The reason why people can't score well in their A levels because they are overconfident from their O levels and they don't know how to do smart work and they don't know who the right mentors are. And the biggest drawback of A levels is much easier than O levels. I swear on my life. मेरे लिए at least for me A levels was much easier than O levels because there were only 4 subjects yeah based on अगर आपने 3 लेने तो only 3 subjects in O levels you have to study 8 subjects or 10 subjects. I had 10 subjects, right? So it's crazy, man. 3 subjects versus 10 and now you guys want to say the volume is O level में 3 साल होते हैं A level में 1 साल होता है. No, In O levels, you have 3 years, but then you realize that you only study in the last 4 months. So A levels is even easy compared to it. The only reason why people flunk their A levels is because they don't have a proper understanding of how to read questions and how to attempt past papers. This type of explanations that I'm giving you today in your O levels, many A levels teachers even don't know how to give this, and even O level teachers, they don't know how to prepare the students for a very structured exam, right? So, and the one of the other major reason is because people fall in the trap of Janu Manu Shona Tona. So if you fall in that trap of Janu Manu Shona Tona, because A levels is, quote unquote a little bit azadi, so then even then you're cooked, right? So just believe in yourself, and your time of Janu Manu Shona Tona will come. Sir, you should consider teaching at 55. Yeah, that's why students flunk. You know, मेरे जानू ने ताना ताया था. That's why. That's the only reason. Sir, we have one chemistry teacher for grade 9, 10, 11. Okay. Very irrelevant information, but okay. So what do you mean by isotopes? They are different atoms of the same element. Has your time come, sir? So atoms of the same element having the same number of protons, or the same proton number, and different number of neutrons. Done. Table 2.1 shows the relative blah blah blah. Like at this point, जब repetitive हो जाएगा ना, मैं छोड़ दूंगा. अब repetitive होने लग गया. Mass number times the abundance divided by the total abundance. It's like, just cut me some slack, Cambridge. Test something new, for crying out loud. It's the same old things that you're testing. Give them a challenge. What do you get? 10.8? Should I write 10.80? Should I write 10.80? Why not? Why not? अच्छा, ये पूरा करके लिखा करें. 1080 डिवाइडेड बाय 100. प्लीज ये एक्सप्रेशन लिखा करें, अच्छा लगता है. डिस्टिंक्शन ले लेंगे. 10.8 AMU. Can I not write, what's it called? Can I not write 10.80? Yes, it is one decimal place. Alicia, are you enjoying these classes? Khushi and Alicia, where are you guys from? Which schools and which city? मेरे अपने क्लास के तो बच्चे आते नहीं हैं. कोई बाहर से आ जाते हैं तो अच्छी बात है. मेरे क्लास की चिलिंग्स कर रहे हैं, पोर्टल पे देखेंगे. बीकन हाउस कराची. हाउ आर यू फाइंडिंग दिस सेशन? इज इट योर फर्स्ट टाइम? मेरे क्लास के बच्चे बड़े बोरिंग हैं यार. See, this time in the May June session we have like 45-44 kids. It's lovely. Oh, I'm glad. Is this your first time taking the classes? ठीक है. खुशी, what about you? यार मेरे क्लास के बच्चे ना, कसम खुदा की, a boring bunch, I swear to God. The last May June batch was so fun. I hope that in the past paper session, fingers crossed, please God, I need some talkative kids in the past paper session, please. We're also going to have late Ramzan sessions. You're also in city school Karachi. That's good. That's awesome. Yeah, I love Karachi students. Sorry, guys. Karachi students and Lahori students have something in common, which is that they are talkative. Yeah, ठीक है. इस्लामाबाद वाले, पेशावर वाले थोड़े खामोश खामोश हैं. Yeah, पेशावर वाले. I love you, Peshawaris. Okay. I love you too. I love you too. Sir, we are introverts. You see. Okay. Let me just 2023. Let me see how many more 2023 questions there are. Okay, it's never ending at this point. Should we do these 2023 questions? चलो ये 2023 इधर तक करते हैं ना. फिर मैं ज़रा पेशावरी बच्चों पे एक बात करता हूँ. सी, इंट्रोवर्ट्स पे एक बात करता हूँ. नॉट पेशावरी बच्चे, इंट्रोवर्ट्स. सी देखें, आजकल का ज़माना जो आ रहा है ना, आजकल के जुमा आना नहीं, जो आया हुआ है. आई वॉन्ट यू गाइज टू बी प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर this. Sir, सारे सेम लग रहे हैं questions. I'm telling you, Cambridge is stupid. They ask the same things. This is an instructed course. It's literally an instructed course. Very easy to score an A star. हमारे टाइम में मुश्किल ऐसे था कि हमारे टाइम में कि मैं जो है समंदर के पार 5 किलोमीटर समंदर में डुबकी मार के तैर के फिर 10 किलोमीटर वॉक करके और फिर जो है फॉरेस्ट से निकल के और फिर जो है आग के दरिया में ऐसे डुबकी का के फिर स्कूल पहुंचता था, इसलिए नहीं yeah, we've all heard this from our parents. No, it was difficult because it wasn't difficult, but you didn't have good teachers. Most of us didn't have good teachers, especially students from Peshawar. But now, because of the online thingy, you have great teachers accessible anytime throughout Pakistan and even globally. So that's something good. That's something good. All the good teachers are coming online, so that's good. Okay, so the thing that I was telling you about being introverted is that it's good to be an introvert or an extrovert, that doesn't make a difference. But if you're not able to articulate your words, if you're not able to convey your message, chat gpt is not a good teacher. Please, Harim, remember, if you are studying from me and then you search up questions on chat gpt, I will kill you. No, I won't kill you, but please don't cancel me. I won't kill you, but you need to understand that in your chemistry there are a lot of exceptions. O level and IGCSE syllabus is a very instructed syllabus. If you search on chat gpt, do noble gases do noble gases react, it's going to give you an answer that you might not expect. Noble gases also react, but I don't want to tell you this because your syllabus says they don't react, they're inert because they have a stable electronic configuration. But there are a lot of exceptions, even the shell filling, even organic chemistry. There are a lot of exceptions in chemistry that are not tested at your level and even at A levels, right? So follow an instructed a proper instructor, right? Acha, back to the topic. I was saying that if you're not able to articulate your words, if you're not able to communicate what you think and what you feel and what you've learned, this world is this world which has changed a lot will not give you the benefits that you deserve just because you're not able to articulate your words, just because you're not able to convey your message. Because the future is not about having more knowledge. Knowledge you can search on these AI things, and you can search these knowledge on, you know, a lot of databases, and there are now chips that are being developed that you can learn everything instantaneously. The differentiating factor would be between two candidates would be how well one can articulate their words, how well one can market themselves, how well one can communicate, how well one can, you know, one has the communication skill set, right? It does not matter. The flow of English does not matter. So see, our chartered accountants, by profession, I'm in the field of chartered accountancy. I work at PwC, Price Waterhouse Coopers. So that's number one in the world accounting firm. Yes. Khair, khair, Allah, Alhamdulillah. Khair, I think it's not about speaking fluent English. I swear, it's not about speaking, it's speaking it with confidence. So our chartered accountants, they're mostly Toastmasters. So they also lack those communication skills. But once they do those Toastmaster trainings, even though they speak improper English, or they might not be able to speak fluent English. Toastmasters are, they just help you in public speaking. They might not be able to speak fluently, but they can speak, they might not be able to speak correct English, but they can speak fluently after they are done with this public speaking. So learn to communicate. If it's in English, if it's in Urdu, doesn't make a difference. Let people laugh, yaar. Let people laugh. A Pashto poet once said, and I'll translate it to you. I'll first say it in Pashto, and then I'll explain it in uh, Urdu. A Pashto poet once said, "Hagawana me walari sansar shi," Rahman Baba shi, right? Which means the tree that bears fruit, people throw stones at the tree that bears fruit. This is so real. The tree which gives you nothing, which is cactus, why would somebody start throwing stones at cactuses, right? Because they don't have any fruit. The trees, the apple trees, the orange trees, those are the trees which are plucked. Those are the trees which are stoned just to get those fruits. So people are going to laugh at you, people are going to throw stones at you just because you're doing something right. Keep on trying. Keep on trying. You'll ace things. Okay? So learn to be confident. दफा करो दुनिया को. दुनिया सारी जिंदगी बकवास करती रहेगी. To hell with it. Yeah. Just make sure your parents are happy with whatever you're doing. That's fine. बाकी बहन भाई देखी जाएगी भाई, दुनिया लंबी है. Just be internally satisfied. State the term दोस्त वो सब काम करें. Sir, when will you answer my question? It's been a 1 month. State the term given to the numbers 79 and 81 in these isotopes. What is meant by 79 and 81? What's the term given to it? There are two terms. You can write either or. You can write mass number, or you could also write nucleon number. Yeah, now I'm tired. Sir, in which school do you teach? You know, I don't teach in any school. I'm a free bird. I do this for fun. That's how crazy I am. Complete table 2.2 to show the number of protons, neutrons, and electrons in an atom and in an ion of bromine. Protons, you go to the periodic table. How many protons are there? 35? 35. If I'm not wrong, please correct this. 79 minus 35, 81 minus 35. What do you get? 44 and 46. Electrons, this is an atom, so the number of protons and electrons must be equal. This is an ion, right? So if it is a 1 minus ion, that means that it has one more electron than proton. So that's 36, one more electron than proton. Calculate the relative atomic mass. Pretty, what? Here? Here? No. Okay, this is such a beautiful question. Skibidi Toilet has said, can we write atomic mass here? No. Relative atomic mass? No. Now listen to the reason. The reason is, what is the definition of relative atomic mass? It's the average mass of the isotopes. Always go to the basic, right? Of the isotope, of the naturally occurring isotope, blah, 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 relative to 1/12 of a carbon atom, whatever. It's the average mass of the isotopes. This is an isotope. This is an isotope. The mass of this isotope is the mass number or the nucleon number, right? But the average of these two would have been called the AR. It's not averaged here. It's saying 79 and 81 respectively. It's not average. If it had said state the term given to the numbers of 79 and 81 once they are averaged out of bromine, then you would have written relative atomic mass, right? So you need to understand that AR is not the mass number on nucleon. It's just the average of these two. Yeah? Got it now, Skibidi Toilet? Skibidi Toilet? Got it? Okay, great. Okay. Relative atomic mass. See, now you're averaging it out. Skibidi Toilet, 79 times 55 plus 81 times 45 divided by 100. What do we get? अच्छा इसको कंप्लीट किया करें 7990 divided by 100. What do you get? 79.9 EMU. Done? Sir, you've inspired me so much that I will tell all my friends about you. Yeah, thank you. Khush raho. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. That's all we care about. Inspiration and spreading positivity. The relative atomic mass. Identify the isotope to which all relative masses are compared. Carbon 12. Thank you. It's not just carbon, it's carbon 12. Right? So you could write C12. Or you could write it like this. Carbon 12. No, 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 no. Aline is saying 1/12. No. Now listen to the reason for it. Because whenever I negate your answers, I always give you reasons, right? So a good science student should always ask the question why. मैं हमेशा से ये कहता आ रहा हूँ मुझसे पूछे क्यों? Why are you saying no, sir? Because listen, it says identify the isotope to which they are compared. The isotope, not the portion of the isotope. अगर वो कहते हैं identify the portion of the isotope, the portion is 1/12. But here he's just asking about the isotope. He's not asking कि यार मुझे बताओ उसमें से कितना हिस्सा होगा उसका, right? Make sense? Okay. Alright, calculate the relative atomic mass. Mass number times the abundance. Mass number times the abundance. यार बस ना यार, बस ना. पिछले 50 सालों से ये सवाल आई जा रहे हैं. बस ना. अभी भी गलत करो तो लख्ती लानत. Divide by 100. What do you get? 2430. Sir, but our periodic table does not show 2430, 24.3. Our periodic table should show 24.3 AMU. In A levels, it will show 24.3. In O levels, they've just rounded it off. They've just simplified it to 24. Because, sir, see, periodic table also says relative atomic mass, but magnesium is only 24. It should be 24.3. In A levels, this shock will be completed. An ion contains 10 electrons. Oh, I love this question. This is a very beautiful question. And we've also discussed this. An ion contains 10 electrons, 13 protons, and 14 neutrons. So there's this ion, let's call it X. And it has 13 okay. If it has 13 if he's given you the protons, if he has given you the protons, then you can literally just go to the periodic table and search out which element they're talking about. But let's suppose, I want to make this difficult. Let's suppose he did not say this and he said an ion contains 10 electrons and has a 3 plus charge. Let's assume, I'm just solving this other question, right? Find that element. What is that element? Find the element. कौन सा element? ये सवाल मैं जरा थोड़ा टेक्निकल करने जा रहा हूँ, ठीक है? फिर कर लेते हैं. Now see, how can I find the element? For the element, you need the number of protons, right? But you're not given the proton. He's saying this ion, there's this ion, and it has a 3 plus charge, and it's saying it has 10 electrons. So it has 10 electrons after having a 3 plus charge. If it did not have a 3 plus charge, if it was just in its atomic state, then it would have not lost 3 electrons. It would have 13 electrons. And in its atomic state, the electrons and protons are equal. So it's an element with 13 protons, and that's how we figure this out, right? And then you just look at the periodic table. So this was just a fun question, but this is not the requirement of the question. The question says an ion contains 10 electrons, 13 protons, and 14 neutrons. State the nucleon number. What is the nucleon number? Nucleon number means the total number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus of an atom. So 13 plus 14, what do we get? 27. That's aluminum. Identify the element that forms this ion. Which element forms this ion? Literally look at the proton number and go to the periodic table. Aluminum. सॉरी फॉर माई गंदी राइटिंग. अच्छा 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 अच्छा, बस 2 सवाल और खत्म. एक ये करते हैं और एक आखिरी ये करते हैं, तो 2023 के सवाल जितने हैं वो खत्म हो जाएंगे. ये 100 पेपरों के क्वेश्चंस हैं बिल्कुल. This question is about the compound that contain phosphorus. The formula for phosphide ion can be written as this. Okay. Show the number of particles in this phosphide ion. So how many particles are there? Electrons. How many electrons does it have? 15 electrons and 15 protons for just P. But now it has a 3 minus charge, which means it has 3 more electrons than protons. So now it has 18 protons. 3 minus means gain 3 electrons, right? So it has 3. How do you write this in paper? If I ask you, what does P3 minus mean? ये बहुत pet question है. What does 3 minus in P3 minus mean? A very pet question. It means that phosphorus has 3 more electrons. Gain की जगह ये लिखा करें. It has 3 more electrons than protons. This is a pet question and this is the pet answer. It has 3 more electrons than protons. Literally, that's what 3 minus means. 3 more electrons than protons. आगे आके आपको नजर भी आ जाएगा, कहीं ना कहीं होगा. ये देखिए, होगा, कहीं ना कहीं होगा. आगे पीछे होगा कहीं. क्यों आगे पीछे डोलते हो बवरू. ये देखें. Explain why sulfide ion has a charge of 2 minus. Because it has 2 more electrons than protons. ये 1 mark का सवाल. Explain. खत्म. क्यों आगे पीछे डोलते हो बवरू की तरह. क्यों देखते हो न. What are the neutron? 31 minus 15. 16. Proton doesn't change. 15. Why doesn't change? Because of the nuclear charge. न्यूक्लियस में एक न्यूक्लियर चार्ज एग्जिस्ट करता है. आपके कोर्स में ये बात नहीं है, लेकिन इट प्रिवेंट्स द प्रोटॉन फ्रॉम बीइंग गेन्ड और लॉस्ट. हाउ मेनी इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आर देयर? Sir, 7 protons and 7 electrons for a neutral atom, but now it is 3 minus. It means it has 3 more electrons than protons. So 7 plus 3, that's 10 electrons. Neutrons, 15 minus 7, that's it. And let me write it here, 15 minus 7. क्यों आगे पीछे डोलते हो? Protons are 7, no? It's given. What are the charges, relative charges on neutron? 0. Proton, plus 1. Relative mass of neutron, 1. Proton, 1. Adam. This is a very beautiful question. Last question. Love this question. Love it. क्यों आगे पीछे डोले. What are the neutrons? 42 minus 20? 42 minus 20. Let me write it here. 42 minus 20. What do you get? 22? Done. Protons are 20. 2 plus means that there are too few electrons than protons, or there are 2 more protons than electrons, or too few electrons than protons. So 18 electrons. Huh? Sir, chlorine, number of electrons, it's the atom. So for an atom, the number of protons and electrons are equal. And why are they equal? Because it has no charge. Na? No charge ka matlab ye hai ki the protons and electrons must be equal. Because they're opposite in charges. So they must be equal in order for there to be a no overall net charge. How many protons there? 17. क्यों? I love this question. I love this part. I love this part. 6 marks, right? So you get 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this, 1 mark for this, 3 marks, and you literally get 3 marks for writing this. Literally. Literally. So it says proton 16. You have to write it the exact same way that they've written it. So write the symbol. The symbol is go to the periodic table, check out which element consists of 16 protons. It's sulfur, right? So write S. 1 mark for writing S. Literally. Okay, great. Now it says, tell me the at the top the mass number is written. Should I go to the periodic table and write the mass number from the periodic table, or should I add the protons and neutrons given to me in the table? बस ये बातें, हाँ, add it because you never know. In the table there might be, it might be an isotope. In the table it might be an isotope, ना कोई isotope शायद given होगा, ठीक है? Yes, Aline, you are right. So इसलिए table को add करें. 16 plus 16 32. 16 plus 16 32. How many protons are there? 16, sir. 16. Now it has two more electrons than protons. Two more electrons than protons. So it must have gained 2 electrons, right? क्यों आ गेम? अच्छा, it's not -2 Aline, it's 2 minus, and I'll tell you the reasoning once we do redox, right? Actual charge बाद में साइन, अगर आप डिस्टिंक्शन लेना चाहती हैं 2 minus लिखें, अगर स्टार लेना चाहते, अच्छा वैसे मजे की बात है, if you score full marks, you're gonna get the distinction, it doesn't matter. तो अगर आप 2 minus लिखे, -2 लिखे, एक ही बात है, चले खैर है, -2 लिखा करें, -2 लिख ले, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, असल में 2 माइनस है, लेकिन कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, अगर आपके पूरे नंबर आते हैं वो डिस्टिंक्शन है, मार्किंग स्कीम के हिसाब से आपके पूरे नंबर आ गए, डिस्टिंक्शन है, बट प्लीज राइट, देखिए ऊपर एग्जामिनर ने भी पहले नंबर लिखा है फिर साइन लिखा है, तो आप भी पहले नंबर फिर साइन लिखा, एंड दिस इज द रियलिटी, ये रिडॉक्स में क्लियर होगा कि एक्चुअल आयन के ऊपर जो चार्ज होते हैं उसमें हम साइन बाद में लिखते हैं, और जो रिडॉक्स नंबर होता है, तो ऑक्सीडेशन स्टेट होता है, वो हम उसमें पहले लिखते हैं। खत्म, 2023 के सवाल खत्म। ये सवाल इधर ना करें यार, ये केमिकल बॉन्डिंग में होना चाहिए था ये क्वेश्चन। 22 के हम कल कर लेंगे, अब कल केमिकल बॉन्डिंग करें, ये केमिकल बॉन्ड, कल केमिकल बॉन्डिंग का प्रैक्टिस सेशन रखें, ये हम बार बार रोटेट करते जाएंगे। ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री तो हर सवाल मैं अपने हाथ से कराऊंगा इंशाल्लाह। रमजान 1 मार्च से प्रोबेबली रमजान होगा, तो ऑर्गेनिक केमिस्ट्री को मैं खड़काऊंगा खड़काऊंगा, लेट नाइट सेशंस रखेंगे, फ्री सेशंस होंगे, सबके लिए खुले होंगे। एनी क्वेश्चन व्हाट्सोएवर? एनी क्वेश्चन व्हाट्सोएवर? कोई सवाल शक शुबा पूछ सकते हैं आप लोग। क्यों आगे पीछे ढोलते हो भंवरों की तरह, सर वाई आर यू सो हैंडसम? मैं आपको क्या कहूँ, हैशटैग नो होमो। थैंक यू। एनी अदर क्वेश्चन गाइस? कोई सवाल, कोई शक शुबा? शुड आई स्टॉप द रिकॉर्डिंग? आई स्टॉप द रिकॉर्डिंग, एंड इफ यू गाइस हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस यू कैन आस्क मी।